All right, time for something a little heavy and a little chilly outside our Beacon Hill studio. Cosmo Macero of O'Neill & Associates. Peter Cadges of the Boston Phoenix. It is a little brisk, baby.
Brisk, yeah.
We're tough, though. No gloves in April, fellas, so that's the way it goes. Tough for you, not quite as tough it is for Tim Cahill this morning. Indicted yesterday by Martha Coakley. Big press conference. You know the drill. What's going on here, Cosmo? Is it what Martha Coakley said, or is there something more at work?
Well, look, there is a long history of elected officials being in a position to take advantage of their incumbency to raise their profiles. And I think this is sort of another case of that, whether it's past treasurers, members of Congress, governors touring storm damage, people using the abandoned property list to generate goodwill, or what have you. There's a long line of this. It's sort of an institutional part of being an elected official. Now, when you have access to the decision-making and thought process, well, maybe that makes people think a little differently. That's probably what happened here with Martha Coakley.
Well, I think the question is, and we'll find out if this goes to trial, is did the ex-treasurer cross the line? I have to think back to when he was running for governor. And by the way, he ran an awful campaign. That's
defense number one for him. Yeah. I was already out of it.
And his bad campaign assured Duvall's re-election. But did he step over the line? We'll find out.
Well, do either of you, are you uncomfortable with what he did? Let's start with that.
It reminds me of a lot of things that others have done. Look, I think back.
But is that a
10
defense?
Years, no, I think back over 10 years when Bill Galvin was jumping out from behind mailboxes, the Secretary of State, a public service campaign, a meaningful and important message, register to vote. But really, what was the benefit of that? Well, there's a lot of benefit to him. It raised his profile. It got him on TV. There's a lot of that in state government and federal government. And I think in this case, they had access to what was the thought process behind it, and that's where things get a little bit uncomfortable.
When Galvin did that, though, there were no allegations and no evidence that his Secretary of State staff conspired with his campaign staff.
There also wasn't
and that's what the Coakley is alleging. Let's say
there
alleging.
Also wasn't a smear campaign from the Secretary of State's Association against his office like there was from the Republican Governors Association against the lottery. That was Rip and Cahill at the time. So
no, that's a valid point. Listen, I think we need to let this play out. He's innocent until proven guilty. He's been indicted. That's a big step, and that in itself is a blemish. But let's see what the trial has to say.
Any thought that maybe Cahill says, if I'm going down, I'm taking others with me? Does he have any kind of juice like that?
I don't know. I think it's probably always an equation that an elected or former elected official has to puts into this. I got to say, the case might be stronger if his face was all over these ads and he was nowhere to be seen.
I agree. I'm shocked at this, actually. But then again, he was a bad Democrat, so they wanted to get after him. Let's talk about the president for a second. He took to the microphones yesterday to comment on a case that the Supreme Court is hearing now, specifically ObamaCare, and said this would be unprecedented if they overturned the law, number one, and then almost referred to them as activist judges, Cosmo. Ironic to hear him using the conservative claim about judges often, but what's going on here?
I got to tell you, I kind of want the court to uphold Obamacare, just to kind of shove it in the president's face. He obviously missed that week of civics class where the separation of powers is discussed.
I agree.
And either that or he's choosing to ignore the fact that it's the Supreme Court's role, their job, to interpret the Constitution on matters of importance, this being one of the largest matters of domestic importance in generations.
Well, I'll give our viewers a little civics lesson. This is called jawboning. And the president is out there trying to shape the climate of opinion. And to VB's point, the conservative court has ignored the legislature in the past. In the Citizens United case, they overturned many generations of campaign finance.
But how about him saying they're an unelected body that would overturn the work of an elected body? Like, he's looking down his nose at the Supreme Court.
Well, it does make him sound like a Republican.
Yeah, now he wants elected Supreme Court judges?
No, that's not what he's saying. Listen, in politics, it's all a question of whose ox is going to be gored, or in this case, might be gored.
It sounds like he's denigrating that one-third balance of the Supreme Court, denigrating any picks he may make in the future to an unelected body.
Quickly, I got 30 seconds left. Just take a quick listen to the national anthem at the NCAA Championship game last night. The Fray is the band. Any response to that, Cosmo?
People have been creatively interpreting or abusing the national anthem since Jimi Hendrix and maybe even before. I'm not offended. I just think it kind of stinks.
Hey, they kept their clothes on. They didn't swear. There was no anti-Americanism. What's the big deal? What's the big deal? I just think you get a kid from junior high school out there from the church choir and have him sing it and have everyone applaud.
You don't always have to make everything your own. You can just do the song, right?
You can just sing it.
That would have been
Or
okay.
play it on the organ.
Peter Cadges of the Boston Phoenix. Cosmo Macero of O'Neill Associates. They're the hitters. Gene, back to you and Dedham.